What is up?
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
Amazing.
How we doing?
Noel, where are you at, Noel?
I'm actually in front of the Supreme Court. I'm a few minutes from the Capitol, but yeah, I'm chilling
Oh,
outside.
Noel, she said, you know what? I'm going to have the backdrop of all backdrops. It's just the Supreme Court. Come on, you got to show us.
This is the Supreme Court. It's pretty cool, not gonna lie. It's pretty cool.
That is amazing. What a better place to have a live than in front of the freaking Supreme Court in DC.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal.
That is awesome. Jesse, I miss you.
Jordan, it's been so long. So good
I
to see
know, I know, it's so good to see you. And have you guys met before or no?
No.
No, we haven't.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I mean, I've known both you guys for a while now, but Jesse was one of the first people I met on Instagram when this whole thing first started popping off. And yeah, if you got first, before we get started, again, if you hit this arrow right here, follow them both. It's worth it. I promise you. I mean, if you're watching Jesse, you're going to feel like a badass. And if you feel weak one day, you're going to be so encouraged. So you follow Jesse. And then if you just want to get hit with facts, you follow Noel, because she will break down everything when it comes to socialism, the myth of white supremacy, and everything else. And she's living in DC. She's in the swamp. So it's how is it living in DC?
It's interesting. I'm from Los Angeles, so it's very different. But it's been a really cool learning experience. I didn't know that DC was actually built on an actual swamp until recently. So that's why they call it a swamp, because it was built
I did not
on a
know that
swamp.
either.
Yeah, so that's why, which is super appropriate and super ironic. So it's been cool.
Well, that's great. And then we were supposed to have Dino from the Republican Party, which a lot of you guys might know, his social media Republican Party. And we tried to test out his Instagram this afternoon. He was going to come on for a little bit. And Instagram did not let him come on either of his names. So they're completely censoring him. And he's really bummed about it. That's why he's not able to come on tonight. He tried his backup. He tried his main account. He tried Republican Party. And I mean, his account has 2 or 3 million. And when he makes a post right now, he's only getting like 3,000 to 5,000 likes, which is equivalent to probably, I don't know, 30,000 people. So, I mean, they are completely suppressing his account like crazy. They're not letting him go live. When he tries to go live, it says, boots him and says, "You have been banned from going live." And it's the battle that we're in right now, but I do know a conservative Anthony Ray, he was on live with me this afternoon, and he's going to hop in here in probably about 20 or 30 minutes. So he's going to join us for the conversation. And, let's do this. Let's reset. Everyone, thank you for making this thing happen. Jesse, Noel, it's awesome to have you guys as always. And really quick, 2 or 3 quick announcements. Number one, we do this every Monday through Thursday for anyone that's their first time. We do it every Monday through Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern. And so, and then again, these archives are put on Instagram TV or IGTV. But as well, what we're starting to do is starting next week, we are going to start posting the full lives on Rumble and YouTube. Just because we're going to try to transfer people over more to Rumble, because we don't know how long we're going to be on here with all of the censorship. So, and then the other announcement is we have a podcast that came out today, me and Ross the Boss. We talk a lot about Cuba. We talk about South Africa, which I'm sure we're going to talk about today, because just more stuff keeps coming out, which is just completely heartbreaking. And I want to get both your guys' thoughts on what's going on. So we have a podcast that just came out, and in the Speak Truth Without Fear, and also my personal Instagram, Jordan Sarmo. There's a highlight button in our profile, and you can click on the podcast highlights, swipe up, and it takes you to all the platforms. So that's all the boring announcements. Man, let's talk about. Okay, this is what I want to know about you guys. Isn't it interesting that when Trump was in office, like North Korea we had peace with North Korea. There was no international wars. Like all the media, all of the hype and all the crazy stuff, even international, was all manufactured. The Russia. There was and now in 5, 6 months, I mean, Cuba, we had Colombia, we hear what's going on with China. We have 500,000 people in London 2 weeks ago take the streets. Media's not talking about it. In France today, like 50,000 showed up today because, like, it just feels that, like, Trump, when he was in office, kind of like really, it set back the deep state. If Clinton would have been in office back in 2016, everything that they were planning on doing got delayed. And it feels like they know that they only got a couple of years, especially till next year because of 2022. They're trying to just like slam everything in. And if you know in history, tyranny always falls and makes the biggest mistakes when they do this overreach. And I feel like right now, like everything is just at a 10. I mean, like it is so much. So what are your thoughts? I mean, let's just have a conversation. Jesse or Noel, I don't care. I don't really, either of you guys can go first. What are your guys' thoughts with going on just in the world right now? I mean, what are your guys' thoughts?
It's like it started with COVID, and then it just went on this insane escalation into just violence, anger, hatred, and it's creating this hate not only between countries but between individuals on your local level. People aren't smiling at each other. They're not quick to say hello, how are you, and it's like we have to be extra now and spreading that love and positivity because there's so much hatred.
That's so true. Noel, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really sad that, people willingly kind of walked into the lockdowns, walked into the mandates and into the division and kind of like turned their back on. I lost family members who did not want to talk because we disagreed on those issues. And I think, people thought, oh, well, I'm doing the right thing by complying. I'm helping people. I'm saving lives. But it just added to more division. And you see that in every aspect. Like you look at college campuses and them pushing, critical race theory, Marxism, and that's all connected with the lockdowns, with the overreach. It's that dream of a utopian society that actually causes more division because people are so confused. And I think it's most of all sad because people think that it's coming from a good place. They think that they're doing something good, but It just causes so many issues.
That is so. I mean, think about it. We went from it's crazy. I mean, you look back a year and a half ago, and it was 2 weeks to slow the spread. To fast forward a year and a half now, people can't go to colleges. They're getting kicked out of the universities when they're going to graduate this year because they're forcing the vaccination.
Yeah.
You have now the Biden or the DNC coming out saying that they're pushing for the Biden administration to start monitoring our text messages to stop vaccine hesitation.
And go door to door. Like that's what they're going door. That's the thing that blows my mind is people called Trump a dictator. They called, conservative, all these crazy names, but yet who had the gate? The gate barely came down from the Capitol, like maybe a few days ago. And then now you have his people going door to door. Like who is being the invasive overreach president? It's insane.
Is so good. No, that's so good. Jesse, what are you gonna say?
Even more so though, where's the money coming from for this? Right? Like for people to go door to door. And the amount that inflation, I know in the last 2-3 months, my grocery bill every week has grown by $30. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what? And that brought up my point earlier today I was talking about how disability isn't individualized and that it's really this blanket thing to keep us right underneath their thumb. So as a person with a disability, because I have Social Security, I can't earn over $1,000 a month or I lose my benefits. My benefits have already been reduced. I have to pay for my state insurance. I don't get state supplement insurance. I don't qualify for food stamps, and I'm a true person that can do this. And it's just like, it blows my mind how they truly just create these systems to keep you trapped, and nobody sees it.
Well, and you know that more than anybody. I mean, because the strategy, it's always been for the Democratic Party, was to create victims and really to continue slavery, because we know back in the 1960s that when slavery ended and the Democrats lost because over 300,000 Republicans died for the freedom of the black man, we had President Lyndon B. Johnson that came out and said we're gonna have these N-words voting for us for the next 200 years, and and the whole point was that we might lose them physically as slaves, but we cannot lose them mentally. And that's when they came out with the welfare, and we know that entire thing. So keeping people as victims in the mind has been the strategy this entire time. Real quick, Jesse, tell your story if you can. I know it's a long, big story, but I mean, tell people need to know where you're coming from, because you don't have any excuses to find happiness, joy, and purpose in life.
So at 22 years old, I was in a motorcycle accident that left me a paraplegic. A woman made a U-turn in front of us. The driver of the bike didn't stop in time, so he went through, broke his leg. I went over, broke my back in 2 places, ribs punctured my lungs, nicked my spinal cord, coded twice, had to be resuscitated. So I'm very, very fortunate to be here and fortunate to get to share that testimony. I was saved the day before my accident. I lived my life 100% fulfilling God's purpose, and I just know that there's so much more. Society tells me that I have every single reason not to live life to the fullest, not to my dream. And financially, it's scary. I've lost benefits already. I pay $300 a month in bladder spasm medicine just so I don't pee myself. Once I lose my insurance, that goes up to $700 a month. Like, it's terrible off of government benefits because we are set up on this blanket of everybody that needs help rather than, wow, this person actually has additional medical expenses that are out of their control. I never asked for this injury to happen, but I would never take it back. You know that, Jordan. But I would never ask for this to happen, and it kind of happened to me, and now I'm stuck, it feels like, because I didn't set myself up in the beginning for success, nor were there any of those tools to say, hey, there is a way out of this. You will be able to work again. You will be able to live a full life. But society told me, no, it's okay. It's okay to be disabled. It's okay to be a victim. It's okay to receive these handouts and to rely on the government for your independence. Over 55% of my community relies solely on the government for their independence. Wow. 50% of a cumulative population, because there's no cure for a spinal cord injury. 17,700 new people every single year are put in my position, and it's an accumulative number, and it's not thought about, and there really needs to be a better system for individuals to have the ability to go out and live a contributing lifestyle. That's the thing. I will live a full life, and if I wasn't active as I am, I would be taking from our system continuously, and there's no program that say, hey, let's help you off of this. And that's for everyone, disability or not. Let's help you live an independent life. Let's help you be able to earn more than $1,000 a year and still succeed. Why? Why are they doing that? Oh, so we continue to rely on them.
It's so true. And I mean, that's why, guys, hit this arrow and follow Jesse and follow Noel, because you follow them both. One, you're going to get so educated, but two, you're going to have no excuses to not own life. Like, there are none. And that's why I think the one thing I'm so grateful from all the friends that I've made through social media and Instagram and through this platform is seeing all of these incredible people, their stories and what they came out of and what they got through and how they're just owning life right now. That doesn't mean life doesn't suck and it's not hard. I mean, today was just a tough day to look at the world, and it felt so overwhelming these last 2 days, because you're just like, the first question that comes to your mind is like, are we like, there's just so much. You look at Cuba and the way that they're hurting, and South Africa and our country. And then like what you were just talking about, Noel, the critical race theory conversation, where it's literally trying to bring us back 50 years. And something that you said too, Jesse, was about, it's not about individualism, it's about these groups. And that's what CRT teaches. CRT takes away your individualism, and it tries to put you in this group, in this race, to bring everything back so that they can control you. But I mean, a big topic right now is, CRT, which was created by a Marxist. It was, Noel, what have you dealt with CRT? Because I know you've been in college. Have you had conversations with this, the mindset behind it? I mean, have you even talked to someone and convinced them why CRT is bad, and they kind of had the light bulb, or no?
Yes, to all of those. So I'm a philosophy major. I've studied something else too, but philosophy is my favorite one. and I had to take a class on CRT 2 years ago. Most of the class decided that it didn't offer any like good solutions, but we still learned it, still talked about it, and I never really thought that people would embrace it to the extent that they have now. Like I knew people would read it and embrace it, but not as much as they have now. And in terms of like I have changed people's minds, but in terms of like the Marxism, it's like CRT specifically follows neo-Marxism, and I think that's really important for people to know the difference, because neo-Marxism it's the same idea as Marxism in the sense of it's oppressor versus oppressed, where before Karl Marx, it was the working class, the regular people against the wealthy. And critical race theory, neo-Marxism, is basically white people and everyone else. So CRT specifically says that white people are inherently racist, that the country was founded on white supremacy. Ibram X. Kendi literally says that the only way to solve present discrimination is future discrimination. The only way to solve past discrimination is present discrimination. So it's very blatantly racist and blatantly anti-America, anti-unity. They don't believe in color blindness. And this is widely accepted and taught in the university levels. I have to take several trainings on it because I teach at my university.
So they force you to take this class in order to graduate.
Wow.
Well, I'm a philosophy major, so I willingly choose to study that stuff in postmodernism. But if you teach, I teach math, so I have to go.
Noel's so smart, by the way. If you guys can't tell.
No.
How old are you?
I'm 22.
What a badass. I love it.
But so we have to take those like trainings. And so like in one of my trainings, they had us say, they had us check our privilege. So we had to say like what our privilege was in front of everyone. I said in front of everyone, I don't believe in privilege. And that opened up a whole conversation. But like people need to ask questions. Like if you're in college and you're watching this, you need to ask questions. Like we're past the time of being silent. We're past the time of just sitting in your seat. Like I jeopardized one of my grades too. I get it. It's scary, but we have to speak up. Like if you don't speak up, you would have been silent during the civil rights movement, like period. Because it's exactly the antithesis of the civil rights movement, and we have to speak up against it. And we have to know what we're talking about too. You have to understand the theory and speak against it.
So true. I mean, I always think, we always hear people, it's like, oh, if I lived back when Hitler was in power, I would have stood up for the Jews. I would have been against the Nazis. If I was raised during the Soviet Union time, I would have stood up. And it's like, no, you wouldn't have.
Yeah.
You would have took the bait for this Marxist utopia that promises everything. And I posted a video 2 days ago on my Instagram, and I took the before and after of Fidel Castro, where I had Fidel Castro giving an interview when he was being interviewed by the press before he took power. And he said, we're not communists, we're not Marxists. This is about human rights, social justice issues, and economic planning. The planning economy. That was like his 3 points. And he said it in every single speech. And then you fast forward 10 to 15 years later, and I spliced it going to 10, 15 years later, and Fidel Castro in the press is saying he was being interviewed by Barbara, forget her name. She's a big interviewer, I don't know if ABC or whatever, and she's asking, why are we allowed to have free press in Cuba? And he goes, I'll be honest with you, no. And I'm going to say it boldly. There's no free press in Cuba. We're not like you in America. No free press, and no one in the government in Cuba or the people can speak out in public against socialism.
We're starting to see that now too, like in society. Like that's like I was on a panel last night talking about cancel culture, and I genuinely believe that like the moment you start to regulate anyone's speech, the moment you police speech, that's it. Like you're going down that slippery slope. And that's exactly, like, we're heading in that direction with the Marxist critical race theory and with silencing people just because they slightly disagree with us. Yeah. Sorry, I cut you off. That just popped in my head.
No. Please keep going. Jesse, you have something?
It's just, it's funny to me because I post about overpowering your disability, becoming more than what anyone tells you to be. And I had posted something about we shouldn't rely on the government for our independence and that we should find ways around it and, work towards a bigger life. And I got called an ableist, which is the disabled version of racism.
Is it really?
I've heard that too, yeah.
But it's just it's ignorance because it's like, at the end of the day, not everyone's going to understand disability until they're educated on it. Like before I became a paraplegic, I had no idea what it was like as life as a wheelchair user. There's a lot of places that just simply aren't accessible, or you go into a place, the restroom isn't accessible, the ADA grossly needs updated with the growing times, and it's just things that are overlooked. And so the community, anytime someone says something that goes against their beliefs or says something that they just don't agree with, well, you're an ableist. When in reality, ableism is a business that knowingly does nothing to make their business accessible, and they just don't care. Like that
Wow.
is true, like people going out and just being disgusting because we have a disability. But somebody that just doesn't agree with you or agree with your viewpoint of disability, that doesn't make them an ableist. And it blows my mind because I see it on such a micro level, because we make up like 15% of the population of the world population. But at the same time, it's like 15% of this population, a majority of them has this mindset, and they agree with the left. And it hurts my heart, because it's like, this is what's holding us back, is that you're not willing to open your mind and realize that you can do more than what they tell you.
So it's so true. I was listening to, and we had a live on Monday night with Maga Hawk and Topher and Craig Long. And we talked about, and critical race theory was one of the main topics. And we were talking how, we were breaking down the 8 characteristics of CRT. And this goes for everything when it comes to Marxism, all the labels to oppress us all, where in the last characteristic, which is the biggest, is that critical race theory is never satisfied. And I think that comes to every single label that they put us in, because if you give them an inch, they will always take a mile. And that's the thing and this is where you kind of find your strength of, like, you're going to speak up now and you're just not going to hold back, because you have to realize that these Marxist communists will never be satisfied. If you give them an inch and say, okay, fine, we'll call it this, or okay, we will agree with this handout, or free this and free that, it'll never be satisfied. Then they're going to go even more until you are forced into submission, to the point where now we're having the conversation where they want to monitor our text messages and show up to our door to make sure we take a jab that is not even FDA approved, let alone is being completely suppressed by the media and by social media giants and big tech. We can't even talk about it. You post a dang story of someone that has a bad reaction. I posted it today, and so far, this is the first time that I've had a post that I showed a bad reaction of someone, and it didn't get deleted within the first 24 hours. It's still up there. I might actually delete it soon, because it's probably going to get flagged. But you can't. We don't have free press or free speech on these platforms, and I think it's such a big thing to remember. Which is, and again, when you look at Cuba, everything. So Noel, what are the things the Marxist believes? This utopia. What do they say? What is their goal for this Marxist agenda?
Well, for their goal, like, they believe that it's possible to have everyone achieve equal outcomes. Like, they genuinely believe that, which is just not possible. Like, there was a study done, and I read this in Thomas Sowell's book, where the oldest child just is prone to have a higher IQ. Most of the astronauts on the first mission to the moon, they were actually the oldest child. So if you can't achieve equal outcomes in your family, how can you achieve equal outcomes in a whole country? And so they believe that you can achieve an equal outcome, and they believe that you should do it by any means necessary. Again, discriminating against past groups. They, when you guys were talking about the labels, and a lot of people said this in the chat, that comes from intersectionality, which is Kimberly Crenshaw talks a lot about it, and that is their goal. Like, their goal is basically the oppression Olympics, where if you are a minority, if you are a woman, if you are disabled, with each of those labels, you have more oppression, you are more oppressed. And that's why they call it intersectionality. It's intersections. So that's actually their goal. Like, that is a whole paper, and they genuinely believe that. And the thing that we're teaching, like, it's so embedded in society now. It's insane how it's kind of crept into every single crevice of our lives.
Wow. And think about it. Think about what Noel just said. And then you look at Cuba. Free healthcare, free education, everything that the Marxists talk about. But what are the people of Cuba fighting for? Lack of food, lack of medical supplies. everything. I mean, if you look at the history of Marxism and communism, it is a bunch of promises that never get followed through. And it's the conspiracies that we've been talking about for the last 5 years. Hey, communism, Second Amendment, all the things that we've been talking about, they're like, oh, that'll never happen in America. They'll never kick you guys off of social media for talking about anything that's conservative. America would never hold political prisoners. America will never go door to door to make sure that you're forced for a vaccine with a 99.98% survival rate. They'll never do that. And where are we now in just a year and a half?
That's what Reagan said, though. Reagan said if communism ever comes to the country, it would be in the name of liberalism, which is insane because that's what we've seen. We've seen it come to fruition, which is really scary.
Gosh, it's so true. I mean, this is where we're at. So, what do you guys see we do from here? Because let's get into, all right. So we have Cuba, and then we have South Africa, which. Have you guys seen the videos of what's going on in South Africa right now?
I've only read.
I mean, it is. I've been talking to someone that's living in the town where the worst part is, and she's been sending me videos and she's been DMing me, and she was telling me, she's like, because I asked her, I was like, hey, can you come on the live tonight and talk about this? And she goes, me and my dad have been up for 3 days straight. We have not slept 1 hour in 3 days. We're completely dead. And she took a picture of her dad. He was like you could tell he was absolutely exhausted on the couch, passed out. And she was, and she's like, we have been staying up for 3 days straight because of everything that's going on. If my dad wasn't out front defending his business in our house, it would all be burned down right now. And she sent me videos. They're burning the hospitals. They're burning all of the car dealerships, the hospitals. I couldn't believe it. All of the trucks carrying the food supply. And what's happening now is what's coming out. I just read this a little bit ago that because the people that are defending their own city in their own town, they are getting these guys and like holding them hostage and basically getting at them. Who sent you here? Or why are you guys coming here? And all of them are saying we were sent. We were paid to come do this. And they're dropping them off in busloads. Call it conspiracy theorists, but there's so many videos right now. All you got to do is go on Twitter, search hashtag for South Africa, and you will see these videos that independent journalists or people that are living there, it's happening. And when I watched these videos and something she said, she was like, she said two things that was very interesting. She said, one, whatever you do, fight like hell for your Second Amendment. Because the only thing that is saving their businesses right now and the little that is saved is the fact that they are armed. And then the second thing, I just blanked, so I don't remember the second thing. But Jesse, do you have anything that you're going to say about South Africa?
It makes me think back to January 6th and a lot of our riots that we've seen here. I mean, we've seen people being bussed into our cities to destroy them. And it's literally, it's like deja vu again. And that's the other thing. History does repeat itself. And power is a serious thing, and people will do so much just to have it. And I did to circle back to the victim mentality, and that winning is no longer celebrated. It's who can be the biggest loser, who could be the biggest victim, who has it worse. And it's this constant pissing match of negativity.
Yes.
And we've got to end it. We have to be the change. We can't be silent anymore. If you've been sitting back being silent and saying, I'm going to keep the peace, I don't want to say it, you've got to say it. You've got to disrupt it. You've got to help people see more, because I was one of them. COVID happened, I masked up. I was like, oh yeah, like I'm going to protect everybody. I'm going to stay home, and I'm going to do all these things. And I fell for it for a very long time. But then start paying attention. Just pay attention to your research, speak your mind. Stop muting yourself, because that's what causes us to get here.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's where we're at. Noel, do you have any thoughts on South Africa at all? Have you seen anything from it?
I've seen the videos, and it's been really crazy. It's crazy. I think it's crazy that South Africa and Cuba are both happening at the same time.
Yeah.
That's really, really blows my mind. Yeah, it's really scary to think about.
So here's a story that I mean, we talked a lot about international stuff. I don't know. Did you guys see this kind of went kind of viral today on Instagram of a girl named Liv Sanador? I know Turning Point, Charlie Kirk did a article on her today, and she's a college student. I'm just gonna read. I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna show you guys a picture of her so you guys can see who we're talking about. This is her, Liv Sanador, and her Instagram. If you want to check out her post, it's liv.sandor. I need to figure out a better way to do these showing pictures and stuff. But I'm just gonna read her story because this is crazy. And this is about, and this just shows where we have gone from a year ago, 2 weeks to slow the spread, to now you can't go to college unless you are forced to take the vaccine. Hold on one second. I'm going to block somebody really quick.
My school is doing the same thing as well. It's really crazy.
Are they really?
Yeah, it's really crazy.
What are you gonna? I mean, are you taking it? What are you doing?
I'm not, because I have a healthy immune system for something that has a 99.9% survival rate. So yeah, I definitely won't be. But my school is basically saying that they're saying it's optional. They're saying it's required. And they're saying if you don't, then you have to get tested every day. You have to wear a mask on campus. But they have, like, in the fine print, they list you as not compliant. So
What?
yeah. So you're on a list of not compliant, which violates all privacy rights. Like, it's none of the school's business if I choose not to inject we don't even ask college students, hey, have you got an HIV test? Like, if we're not testing for STDs, and I don't go around asking people, which is way more common on college campuses, if we don't even ask that, why do you get to know what vaccines I inject in my body?
Yes.
But
yes. Yeah. All right. So here, I mean, and this is exactly what we're talking about, but this is just nuts. So she posted this morning, and she said, as many of you probably are aware, I was accepted to BYU Hawaii for this fall, the school of my dreams. I had always dreamed of attending there, pushed myself throughout high school to ensure that I would get in, and in March this year, I found out that I was accepted. Never had I been more proud of myself. Over the course of the last few months, I've been preparing myself to move in August. I was beyond excited. Then on June 16th, BYU announced that they would be mandating the vaccine to all those coming in this fall. This may not seem like a big deal to some, but this was huge for me. I'm not sure how many of you know, and you can recall this, but in February 2019, I was diagnosed with and I don't know how to say this syndrome, but basically an autoimmune disease caused by vaccines, which resulted in me, when I was a kid, being paralyzed from the waist down. At that time, I was a full-time dancer. I thought I would never be able to walk or dance again. And after many agonizing nights and days of pain, I was mentally exhausted. I knew no medicine could ever heal me, but I knew one thing could, my Savior. She goes into how the Lord healed her, but then she goes, but that doesn't mean that I'm not, but having this disease means that I am not able to take any vaccines. It could end in permanent paralysis and possibly death if it's spread to my body. This is not a choice for me. The CDC has strongly advised it. I reached out to BYU and got with my doctors to submit an exemption form. BYU made this sound very accessible for those who have medical conditions and were in need of one. My family and I were sure that I would be granted. After 3 weeks, I heard back from them. My medical exemption was denied. They got in contact with the president. They talked to him. Long story short, because she keeps going on, they've done everything. They told the whole story of her situation, and they denied it again. This is like medical persecution. And it just shows where we are at in the country. I don't know why. So, what is the mindset behind these universities to do this? Like, don't they think that it hurts them, or are they being paid? What are your guys' thoughts on these universities? Why are they forcing this when they know the data and the science, or are they just completely being manipulated by the government?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jesse. Go ahead, and then Noel can go next.
I just applied to college for the fall, and after finishing my associates at a community college, taking mainly political courses, and just seeing even in the course material, it's very left bias.
Yeah.
And that's what we're teaching our kids. So a lot of our children think it's okay. Think about a lot of Noel, a lot of people your peers, and how liberal a lot of them are. They're being taught this and they're buying into it.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Wow.
totally agree. Exactly. Like, I think that's why universities feel so, they're not even hiding it. They're just demanding it because most students are left leaning. And the sad thing is, conservative groups on campus are not doing anything. I'm currently trying to change the direction of my conservative group on campus, but it's like pulling teeth. They are not willing to take a stand, and students have to take a stand. You have to protest. You have to email the president of your university. You have to do something. But like you were saying, so many students are left leaning, so they're just gonna do it.
So, okay, so, all right, so let's say there's 120, 125 people on here right now. Let's say there are some college students in here. Like, what would be it? Because you're in college now. They're put in this situation, or let's just say they're even allowed to go to, they're able to get through some medical exemption or some religious exemption. It's hard to be a college student on these public universities. What do you have any advice for college students or even parents that are about to send their kids to college? Like, what would you do to find people that are like-minded, or have you found different ways, whether it's online or something in the university?
For university students or just high school students, if you want to find community online, I definitely recommend Prager Force. When I was newly converted, I guess, to conservatism and conservative ideas, I found Prager Force after I was doxxed, and they helped me find a community, and I kind of just branched off from there. So definitely, if you try and find digital friends, and also like just a heads up, if you're willing to be vocal on campus in person, you have to be ready to take the heat. Like, there's
Yes.
no way around it. It's unfortunate. It's sad. You might get doxxed like I did. You can reach out to me, DM me. I'm here. I'm an open ear. But you have to be ready to take the heat. Like, you will get persecuted. You will get harassed. But you will inspire more people than you think. And you
Come
will
on.
change more minds than you think you will ever have changed. My life changed just by speaking up just a little bit. And that's why I'm in DC. So, like, you never know how God can use your life just by speaking a little bit of truth. And in terms of the vaccine, like, I'm gonna get a group together and protest on campus when we go back to campus. So
Yes.
like, you just got to be ready to. That's real activism, is in person. So just get ready to fight. Not physically fight, but verbally, and
Yes.
be ready to speak up. So
I know you can't say fight nowadays. They're going to add you to the list. Jesse, you have any thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. You have to be willing, like, to speak your truth. I mean, and it's amazing how when you start speaking out and really sharing your viewpoint and being honest and authentic, you have a lot more people that agree with you and are just scared to use their voice. So you can inspire people as well to use their voice and be the change and get their opinion out there and say, look, this is what I'm seeing. And you could help further the message, but you've got to let go of the judgment. I mean, of yourself.
Yes.
And as soon as you let go of that judgment and realize that if you don't give them control of how you feel about yourself, they don't matter. It doesn't matter. Just
No,
own who you are, own your opinion, and share it. We've got to get this out there. We've got to get the information out. We've got to use this voice that God gave us.
no, I love it. It's so true. I mean, that's wisdom right there. All right, we got 20 minutes left, and then before we end this, so one quick thing, and then we're gonna get into some Q&A. Number one, click this arrow right here. If you're not following Jesse or Noel, please do. It's a little drop down. Follow them both. Also, my personal Instagram is Jordan Sarmo. And then as well, for those that are just hopping on, we do this Monday through Thursday. I'm going to pin that Noel.
that's a
Pin
Princess
comment.
Diaries quote, but I swear it's like my life motto now.
No, no one can make you feel inferior without your. That is so. Is
Yeah.
that really a Princess Diary quote?
It's from Princess Diaries. I mistyped, but yes.
It's okay. No one, not no can, but we
Yeah,
know
no
what we're.
one. My
We know.
bad.
No, it's good. All right, we got some questions. If you guys have questions, you guys can put them in. We got like 7 or 8, and I'm gonna get 1 or 2 of these. This is a good. Oh wait, I need to unpin it actually. Sorry, Noel. It's not gonna
Cool.
pop up. Here we go. Oh wait. What is going on? Oh, I know why. Okay. So I'm just going to say the question. Question number one from Denise point 17. Can you tell us or post good sources to get news? I don't know who to trust anymore. So I mean, Noel and Jesse, who are your news right now? Because right now that's the biggest thing. Ever since November 3rd, I mean, Fox News ratings just completely died. Obviously, left anything mainstream media has. And I saw a study a couple months back, which I've said this multiple times on here, where ever since November 3rd, over 80% of conservatives do not trust any mainstream media. So we're at a place right now where it's so true. We don't know who to trust. So what are your guys' sources? If you're like, all right, how do I find news? We'll go first, Noel, and then Jesse. How do you find your news, and how do you know what is true or who to trust?
For me, I always double check things. If you're trying to find news, make sure you can find it on at least 3 or more sources. Always fact check, even if it's someone you genuinely trust. For me, I like to listen to Tim Pool. He's pretty straightforward, pretty non-biased. I like if it's something to do like
Yes.
foreign or riots, Elijah's great. I do like Anomaly's commentary, although I did not agree with his video today. But usually I like his stuff. So, but yeah, I just double check it. Make sure that you can find it on 3 or more sources. Use DuckDuckGo. Don't use Google. I never use Google. So those are my main things. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Jesse.
Took the words right out of my mouth. Same thing. DuckDuckGo. Make it your primary browser on your phone. I check 3 to 4 sources, and then Andy Frisella is really my go-to. I love the content he puts out. My straightforwardness, like same kind of content, and I love it. It's real. It's how to be a winning human being and just be a better person.
I know, I love it. And for me, my mornings, or I try to catch as much as I can or get the highlights. 10 a.m. Eastern. I love War Room. I mean, I always pump War Room because, War Room got me during the election, but also when COVID started happening because War Room was talking about the Wuhan lab of virology like a year ago. Like, I mean, Bannon, Jack Posobiec, Niall, I believe that's his name. I forget his name. All of these guys, they've been talking about all of this and calling Fauci out for the liar that he is, even when Trump had him in office. And they're like, this guy's a fraud. This guy's a fraud. This came from Wuhan. This didn't come from a bat in a bowl of soup or any of the other stupid conspiracies that they said. War Room has been a big thing for me. And again, there's so many good the Populist Press is a great place where you can find a bunch of articles. And then again, we also have independent journalists, which is like you follow Jesse, you follow Noel. DC Drano, obviously, a lot of us know, and follow a lot of these conservative influencer guys because they put in the work, they go through it, and you can kind of just leap off the shoulders of them. So, yeah, I think these are all great. This is an interesting one. Did you guys hear, this comes from, what's her name? Foxy Babe 89. Did you hear about the Freedom Phone?
Yes, Candace Owens just talked about it today, and it's like the independent, no Apple, no Google, has all the apps. I watched Candace Owens' video. So I love Candace Owens, her, Kim Klacik, Madison Cawthorn, like they are all some just patriots out here to just save this country.
Yes, and people are asking why is Noelle so dark? It's because she's outside in the Supreme Court right now. She's giving us the best backdrop ever. She's working out. She's working out in DC right now. So she's in the swamp speaking truth without fear, literally, guys. But yeah, the Freedom Phone looks incredible. I mean, it is going to be tough for me to pull away from the iPhone. I think that's the addiction because like everything syncs. But it's true. She called out. She's like, all of you guys are complaining about big tech and Apple and Google and this and that. But then, hey, and she said that, she made a post about it one time. We need a Freedom Phone. And she called out Elon Musk and I watched her live today. It's like 15 minutes. She has the phone. It works. It's released. And this phone now is a literal phone that Apple and Google have no control over. It is a full-on free speech phone. So and the App Store is free speech as well. So like if Getter or Parler or any other free speech, not only say conservative, free speech social media apps, if the big tech giants say, hey, we're going to take their app off, they will not have that power anymore with this Freedom Phone, which is pretty awesome. Isn't it? It's cool. We've talked about this parallel economy, and it's like we're seeing it be created right now. So, okay, let's get a couple more questions, and then we will call this. Just started following. Oh, Yadi said, I just started following Jesse. Do you recommend any resources to get people with disabilities on track to independence from the government?
Just being a support. We've got to start at a local level. Honestly, each state, the Medicare system is statewide. It's not federally regulated. The food stamp system, same thing, statewide, not federally regulated. So going to our local government to start, and then contact your DSS office, figure out where you go from there. But realistically, getting a group of people together and saying, hey, we want this change, and you go to your capital, you go to your lawmakers. We have to be the change. Same as others say. I think it was Craig who was talking about we've got to get in our local school systems. Like, why isn't the disability civil rights movement taught in school? We taught disability at a grade school level, middle school level. Think about, you would never think twice about a person with a disability. It'd be normalized.
So
it needs to be added to curriculum.
I completely agree. We got one more question, and this is, I don't know if you guys saw this today. Do you guys know who Olivia Rodrigo is?
Yep. Yeah.
Noel. So did you see this today?
Yeah, she came to the White House right here. She came to the White House.
right there.
But yeah, she came to the White House and basically talked about youth vaccines. And it really it blows my mind because like my other major is biochemistry, and like I studied infectious diseases, and like the fact like there's so many scientists who are apprehensive about this, and the fact that they have a pop star who's 17 years old come and tell youth that they need to take it when hasn't been approved, 99.9% chance of survival. We've never really had an RNA vaccine before. So it was just really, really frustrating. They just abuse her and use her because she doesn't know what she's doing. I think it comes from a good place, you know?
And that is the thing with it really is. It's with most Democratic voters is that, you know, because I mean, the right can be brutal. We're like, you guys are stupid, you're dumb, you don't look at facts. And yes, I want to say they're stupid or dumb, but they don't look at the facts. But really, a lot of these people that voted Joe Biden, they have been manipulated. The book Love Letter to America, which was written by Tomas Schumann, who is an ex-KGB informant. I talk about this book all the time, and he literally talks about ideological subversion. And he wrote this book, this 80-page letter book to America, saying how the Soviet Union, as KGB informants, would infiltrate countries and basically destroy them from the inside without using any military force. And he says they do this through a tactic called ideological subversion. And the way they do this is through the media, through entertainment, through music, and you see this Olivia girl who's a celebrity being used by commie globalists. And was she like she was in the White House, like at the press briefing.
Oh, like yeah. Like she walked up with Circle Back Girl. I can't pronounce her name.
Jenny Fasad. She was with Circle Back.
Yeah. She like welcomed her up, and she like gave a whole speech. It was saying how youth need to get vaccinated, and just, yeah.
You can't trust these commies. No. I mean, it is purely, we're at the point right now where you have Cuba that is fighting for freedom to stay alive, and right now they're kidnapping any child, for any male 13 to 19 years old, any of the protesters' children. They're taking them and forcing them into submission to join the regime, basically forcing a draft right now to basically give consequences to the parents that are protesting. They're forcing them there. If they don't come and they don't do it, they beat them until they comply. If they don't comply, the child dies. You have that happening in Cuba right now. And then you have the audacity of the Biden administration and some of these cabinet members to tweet out saying, oh, we are with the Cuban people. We know that they are protesting because of the vaccine. Like, the last thing on their mind is a vaccine. We know, and vaccine might be part of it because they have no medical freedom. They don't have they have no medical supplies. They have no food supplies. They can't, their free education is a bunch of BS. They're all in poverty. They can't have businesses. They have been under a communist regime since the 1950s. And you're going to tell me that they're protesting now because they need a vaccine?
And they're not going to provide asylum for them.
And that was, oh yeah, that was today with what did he say? Did you guys see that video?
I'm not sure exactly how he put it to requote it, but it came to them, South Africa. But yeah, we're letting all of these people across our border. And it's just, and to add on to the child back, I shared a video the other week of that mom talking about her young girl. I have a wheel friend whose mom works with that mom, like met the young girl who's now paralyzed from her first dose of the vaccine. I did a live with Sarah the other week. She went from running 3 to 5 miles 4 times a week to not even being able to go up the flight of stairs after the first vaccine. So ask me again why I'm not getting it.
Yeah. No, we're at a scary time. But I will say the one encouraging thing is this. Like, tyranny always overreaches and then it comes back, and we're seeing, like, I mean, the debate, I saw a study at .gov even on critical race theory, which I think I have it written down. I'm not going to make this number up. 26% of people in the nation have a favorable view of critical race theory. That's low. That is very, very low. 58% have they hate it. And then, you have like the middle that's like, don't know, don't care, and they don't really have an opinion. But all that to say is we are winning the narrative without the media, without Hollywood, without the entertainment industry, without having every single mainstream media network and being banned on social media, and us being sent the fact that right now Dino could not come on Instagram Live and have a conversation with us is just, it's absolutely insane. But even with all of that happening, we're still winning the conversation. And it might feel like we are being gaslit. It feels like sometimes, and the point of that is to make us feel like we're alone, we're crazy, we're the only ones that feel this way. But it's not the truth, because you look at London, what happened a couple weeks ago, and 500,000 people hit the streets when Prime Minister Boris threatened to force vaccine passports for everything. 500,000 people hit the streets, not one media press. It was everything that was just from Twitter and independent journalists that were posting on social media. Today, France went crazy in the streets. And you can look at the videos. I think I posted one on my Instagram story. You see tens of thousands of people. They're pushing back on the police because Macron, what's his name? What was the French Macron? Yeah, whatever his name is. He came out today saying that, I think it's like July 27th or something, that they're forcing the vaccine to go in any public place, a bar, a restaurant, anything. You cannot get anywhere without this vaccine. And I think the wake-up call to America, one, is if you don't think that this administration is going to try to do that, you're crazy. They're trying to do that. Jesse, go ahead.
Our neighboring country already done that. Canada already is requiring vaccine passports. I did that live with Sarah, who was injured from the vaccine. She's like, I can't even go out to a bar with my friends because I only have my first dose. They are requiring it in Canada. Our neighbor, it's knocking on our door.
Jeez, that is crazy. All right, well, we got, it is here. Canada's Trudeau, man, that guy, what a gem. What a nice guy. Okay, we have about 5 minutes left. We're going to do 2 quick things. Number one, real quick, again, hit the arrow, follow both of them, follow their work. I want to ask you guys, we're going to change the mood and ask a couple funny questions. Noel, if you had to pick the president of the United States, would it be AOC or Elizabeth Warren?
Oh my gosh. That's terrible. I probably, as much as I cannot stand AOC, I would pick her over the fake native, because I feel like she's young enough to like have her mind changed. I think she genuinely means well. She just needs people to talk to her. I actually thought about going to her apartment and just waiting to talk to her because I'm like not too far from it. But yeah, that's oh, that's a horror. Oh
Doesn't
my
it make
gosh.
you doesn't it make you cringe?
Oh man, yeah, that's
The
painful.
when I was at the Trump rally in Tampa, the Patriot Sisters, I don't know if you guys know them, but they came up and they're like, "Hey, we want to do a quick interview. It'll be fun, I promise." I'm like, "Okay." And that was the question they asked me, and I was like, "Oh, I can't answer that. Like, you have to." And I'm like, and it was tough. Okay, Jesse.
Oh,
Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris?
no, no. Hillary or what is I can't think of her name right now. The girl that acts like Kamala, or yeah, however you say.
Delilah on the Daily with Delilah.
That laugh. Okay.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh. At least, all right, Hillary, because she's old enough that maybe she would have a health condition.
Yeah. That is a great response. I asked Ross the boss, the same one, and he goes, "I'd pick Hillary just because Kamala, she's gonna like manipulate you into hell. Hillary's just gonna take you straight to hell. Just give it to me. I don't want to wait. Just take me straight to hell if you're gonna take me. I don't want this manipulating slow play." All right, and then this is the last question: Trump or DeSantis? Noel.
DeSantis.
Okay. Okay.
I think I appreciate Trump's economics, especially, but I think DeSantis has a better chance of uniting the country. And so I would vote for DeSantis.
Okay. And then it's a great answer. Jesse.
Yeah, same. DeSantis. He's younger. I think he could have a very long career and turn this country back around and get us back to where we need to be. And he does have that personality and the spokesmanship to unite. Where I love Trump through and through, but I think just him and Owens. Let's go.
Hey, I love Candace too. I'm still on Team Trump, but I mean, and that's also because I'm selfish because DeSantis is my governor, so I don't want to lose him as our governor. But I do think, I mean, Trump and DeSantis would be an incredible ticket. You can't really lose both with either. And Trump did gain 10 million more votes than he got in 2016. So it's not like he did worse. He literally did 20% or 15 to 20% better. But okay, final thoughts. You guys can say whatever you want, 30 seconds to a minute or however you want to go. Noel, you have any final thoughts you want to say? And then we'll go Jesse and we'll end this thing.
Just if any college student or anyone's watching is kind of scared to speak up. Again, no one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Princess Diaries. Don't forget that. Speak up, be bold, and if you need an open ear, my DMs are always open. So
yes, that's awesome. Jesse.
Let go of every judgment that you think of how what you're going to say is going to cause, right? Like we think to have this adverse reaction, and in reality, there are more people on your side. You can empower others. Use the voice that God gave you. Share your truth, and let's change this country for the better.
I love it. Thanks, guys. All right, so again, don't forget this will be live. This will be archived tomorrow. You can check our IGTV. It'll also be on the YouTube. We have a podcast that just came out. Again, if you don't follow Jesse or Noel, please do it. Follow their content. Make sure you support them. Jesse and Noel, love you guys. Thanks for making tonight happen.
Thank you.
thank you.
See you guys. Bye.
Bye.